is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Too Pop to Handle. I'm your host, Andrew Nicotola, and as always, I hope you guys are having a fabulous week. Before we proceed any further with the show, I just need to take a second and say happy Aries season. If you didn't know, I am an Aries myself, and I love to make it my entire personality trait. I love my birthday. Anyone who knows me knows that my birthday is like a holiday to me, and it's not necessarily because of the attention or like all eyes on me. I think I just like a reason to celebrate. And when it's my birthday, I have more control over how we celebrate. So it's not like I have to go to, like certain celebrations and holidays. There's like things that you do. St. Patrick's Day, like just passed, which we'll talk about. Like you go to an Irish pub and you drink a green beer. You know, Christmas, you guys spend it with your family. You go see a tree, you whatever. You know what I mean? Like there's certain reasons to celebrate, and there's like a premeditated reason and way to celebrate. So on your birthday, you get to pick how you celebrate. So you get to like do whatever you want. And my birthday is coming up. It is April 6th. Mark your calendar. Don't forget it. And I cannot wait. I have a Saturday birthday this year, which only happens every so many years. So I am definitely, we are going out. We are hitting the town. I cannot wait. I just started planning recently. So lots of exciting things planned for my birthday. I cannot wait. And this will not be the last you're hearing about it. So prepare to be sick of me. But like I said, happy Aries season to all my Aries out there. We all know that we are the best zodiac sign out there. So keep your thoughts to yourself. That being said, St. Patrick's Day was this past weekend. So happy belated. I hope everybody had a safe St. Patrick's Day. Hope you guys had fun. I had a blast. Thomas and I headed over to Fifth Ave and we watched the parade for a little bit. But there's only so many times you can hear shipping up to Boston on a bagpipe before you're like, all right, I get it. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's fun. I love the sentiment. I love the lore behind it. I am 50% Irish, so obviously I had to represent. But by like the fourth or fifth time you hear it, I'm like, all right, I understand. I'm done. That being said, we finished up at the parade, headed downtown to Stone Street. We met up with Ashley and her boyfriend Abhishek. And if you don't know, Stone Street is kind of like the mecca, the center of all parties for St. Patrick's Day in New York. Is down in Fidei, and it's just like a street of bars that just you drink in the street. They have bars outside. There you can go inside to the bars. Like it's just like a day party, a darty, if you will, which being 28, almost 29, and saying the word darty feels so wrong, but that is what it is. So it's just like drinking outside. It's fun. And a lot of people were posting on TikTok saying how, like, oh my God, it's miserable. It's so packed. Everyone says go to Stone Street, and all you're doing is standing in a crowd. I mean, I had no issues. We were out and about doing our thing. I feel like people go to these things and they think that they're like the only ones who are going to be there, and they think they're like the only people who know to go to these places. It's like, what did you expect? It's literally like the hotspot for St. Patrick's Day. It is literally advertised at like New York City's biggest St. Patrick's Day party. So I don't understand the complaining. And also, if you know how to work it, you can figure it out. We waited in line for sure, but like it wasn't like miserable. Like I've been in much worse situations, but I also kind of thrive in chaos. Like I kind of thrive in a situation like that. And I just love like the energy of a party and people being outside. Maybe I'm the problem. Like maybe I'm toxic and I'm just like, lots of self-reflection on this podcast lately, but let's not get too into it. We had a blast celebrating St. Patrick's Day. We went to Stone Street, like I said, hopped around a few bars there, and then we, like in typical Andrew fashion, made our way over to the West Village because when don't we end the night in the West Village? We went and we got Bleecker Street Pizza, went to Stone Street. We did have to sprinkle a little gay on top of St. Patrick's Day. You know what I mean? It's like very straight. And I had this realization in the mix of like my drunk and high, whatever thoughts. I was like, the next time somebody tries to tell me that there's no straight pride and why is there gay pride? Why do we celebrate this and during June? I'm just going to remind you guys about St. Patrick's Day because it is literally the exact same thing. And follow me, hear me out. There's a parade for both occasions. There are men in kilts on St. Patrick's Day and men in dresses, drag queens for Pride. Same thing. There are people drinking in the street, people partying all day, people going on weekend long benders. Same exact thing. And you're probably going to see a couple break up, whether it's over them Snapchatting somebody or them doing something wrong at the bar. Like you're going to see at least one, if not two couples breaking up in the street both weekends. It is the same thing. St. Patrick's Day is to gay people what pride is. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the next time you hear somebody, some homophobe who's like, why are we celebrating gay people in June? Because you guys get St. Patrick's Day and you also kind of get Memorial Day and July 4th and Labor Day. So, like, and the whole rest of the year. let me not get into it. But I had this realization on the subway. I was like, we were just at a straight pride parade, essentially. There's a flag, like it is legitimately the same thing. So I had that thought and I was like, come back to this, like you're going somewhere with this, Andrew. And as I've sat with it, I'm like, I'm right. You know what I mean? Like it is literally straight pride. That being said, I loved it. I had so much fun celebrating this weekend. And yeah, it's just always a fun holiday. It's just a reason to drink. What's not to love? And before we hop into some, our new topics, Drew releases, I just wanted to close the loop. Well, not close the loop so much, but just like make the loop a little bit bigger. And I didn't want to make it a story because it was like, I don't know, you'll understand in a second. But I've gotten so many people DMing me and sending me things about Kate Middleton all week since last week's episode. So first of all, thank you guys for keeping me in the know and sending me the memes. I love when I get memes from people about things that I talked about on the podcast because I'm like, oh, you listened or you just heard the clip. Regardless, you're paying attention. So thank you, appreciate you. But I got so many people DMing me and talking to me about Kate Middleton, so it felt wrong not to mention it, but it was kind of just like a drop in the bucket. So I felt like it was the right place to do it. That TMZ video was not her. You cannot convince me otherwise. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this video came out yesterday, yeah, Monday, that it was a video of Kate at a farmer's market. And it just seems a little too convenient that like TMZ broke this news and there was no other paparazzi. It wasn't a royal announcement. Like, in what world is TMZ reporting on the royals before the royals are reporting on the royals? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just seems a little weird. There's some speculations that it's her body double. Like, and I'm kind of feeling that vibe. Like, I just do not believe that with Kate Middleton. Hopefully by Easter we have more answers, but I am still on the side of like, that was not Kate Middleton. She is still who knows where. Hopefully she's well, but I'm so invested in this story and I can't wait to see how this develops. Actually, before we hop into our Drew releases, I was at the gym yesterday after work and I saw on the news that they were talking about it. So I they don't play the volume, but I just was reading the subtitles while I was on the Stairmaster and they said that they mentioned the video, but they were like, but we can't show it because it hasn't been verified by anyone that it is or isn't Kate Middleton. So right then and there, I'm like, this is not Kate. Like, you can't convince me otherwise that it's Kate Middleton. I am still wondering where Kate is. So I'm saying by Easter, that's what they said. They said by Easter, she'll be back in action doing her thing. I'm waiting till Easter until I decide on if it was her or not, but I'm still leaning towards the fact that that was not Kate Middleton. But anyway, that being said, let's get into some new releases, some Drew releases, if you will, because there was a lot last week. There's some exciting ones coming up, and there's a lot of pop culture topics. So let's hop right in. You guys know the drill. First up is Drew releases, so our new releases from last week and our new releases coming up this week. First and foremost, Miss Casey Musgraves. I've been talking about this album for weeks. I loved the singles and I love the album so much. I am so just her I always say it, like, her vocal even when she released that Bob Marley song, I was like, just listening to her voice is so soothing to me. I absolutely loved it. I still think Deeper Well is my favorite track on the album. I just think it is such a beautiful, great song, but as a whole body of work, 10 out of 10, absolutely love it. I think my top 3 would have to be Deeper Well, Sway, and Dinner with Friends. I think those are my top 3 right now, but there's no song on the album where I'm like, not great," and skip it. It is genuinely such a great body of work. She's definitely, like I said, dipping back into that older, like more country kind of vibe that she was like started coming into the scene with. And I'm here for it. I even the first to admit I hopped on the bandwagon with Golden Hour when, she got a little more pop and the gays really were like eating it up. And I hopped on the bandwagon and I'm glad that I did because it has been such a fun ride. I loved Star-Crossed. I thought it was a good album. I thought it was fun, but I'm sure a lot of the OG fans are really happy that she's kind of going back to her original roots, you know what I mean? And I think she does it so well. Her voice is so beautiful. Her writing is so good. I love her. Album is a smash. If you haven't listened to it yet, definitely add it to your playlist. I do have 3 or 4 of the songs on my Drew Releases playlist, so you can go check them out there if you just want a taste of it before you dive into the whole thing. But absolutely loving it. Oh, also the opening track, Cardinal, loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. A great album from Casey Musgraves, but I was expecting it anyway. Absolutely loved it. So excited for this album. Just kind of like, I love when an album just continues to grow. You know what I mean? You need to really marinate with an album, and I'm excited to kind of continue to listen to this and like feel it out, like, especially getting into warmer weather and just like really get fully like immersed into this album. So loving this Casey release. Next up was a release that actually the next two releases I didn't even talk about last week because I didn't know they were coming out, and I believe they were released or announced the day after I recorded. So I think that's why. If not, shame on me, whatever. But Halle Bailey released a single, In Your Hands, and it is so beautiful. It is just like, I mean, first and foremost, the video, she's just stunning. And then at the end, she's holding her little baby, which is so cute. And it's just a love song. Like she just saying, when I'm with you, that's when the world's right. Like I'm not gonna find another love other than you, and you're not gonna find whatever. Beautiful song. Will I be listening to it on repeat or anything? Probably not. It's a little slower than I would like. I'm definitely lean more towards Chloe of the two in musical styles because I like that more upbeat R&B, but we cannot discredit Halle and say that like she is not so talented. So a fabulous release from her. And then Cardi B, she releases Enough Miami, which, if you guys listened to, I believe it was last week's or the week before's episode, she released her freestyle, and I did not like it. And I'm just not loving what she's doing on this new era. I don't know why, because that's shocking. I usually love everything Cardi puts out. I loved Invasion of Privacy. I loved all of her singles in between. I love Thomas and I unironically love Bongos, her song with Megan Thee Stallion from over the summer. Like, a hit. We listen to that song so often, and I usually love Cardi's vibe. I don't know why I'm just not vibing with it. Maybe I need to wait for like warmer weather for like a more upbeat song. Just not my cup of tea right now. So no, it wasn't like no, it was pretty bad. I was gonna say it wasn't bad. I always try to be so nice, but like I don't need to be nice all the time. You know what I mean? Still love Cardi. If you she posted a video, or she was on Instagram or TikTok live, and everybody was sending her the country hat as like a payment thing. You can do that little TikTok whatever thing. And every time someone put the country hat on her, she was like, "This ain't Texas," and it was happening over and over, and she just kept saying it. She's so funny. I love Cardi. Her personality just shines through so much that like she could put out a bad song, and I'm like, whatever. It's Cardi. Like she's hilarious, but definitely not something that's going to be like on repeat. Maybe it needs to grow with me a little bit more, but first few listens, I was not loving it. But that's it for our new releases from last week. And this week coming up, I am so excited for these releases. The first one actually came out today, and I'm absolutely loving it. It is Maggie Rogers' new single, So Sick of Dreaming. Oh my God, I'm obsessed with it. It is so good. I'm so excited for this new Maggie Rogers album to come out. I mean, there's only been two singles so far from the album. I talked about the title track a few weeks ago, and now we have the second single. So good. It was a surprise drop. She announced it yesterday. It was coming out today, so very fast. But yeah, I feel like in today's day and age, especially in March of this year, like release whenever because everybody's releasing. It is just like, I feel like pop girls are just like, covering their eyes and like shooting into the Billboard charts. And they're like, well, hope it sticks. Hope it does well because everybody and their mother is releasing and I'm thrilled for it. You guys know. But she randomly dropped this single and I loved it. Such a fun song, such a fun little vibe. I didn't include it in my last week's releases because it did come out today. So I didn't really know where to place it, but you get the gist. Love the new Maggie. I need to add it to my playlist. The Drew releases playlist. I didn't yet, but it will definitely be on the playlist and it will be staying. Next up, Fletcher's new album finally comes out this Friday, In Search of Antidote, and I've been loving her singles from this album, so I'm super stoked for this album to finally come out. And then Girl in Red featuring Sabrina Carpenter, You Need Me Now, is dropping this Friday. You guys know I've been talking about this Girl in Red album nonstop, loving the singles. You guys know Too Much is still one of my favorite releases of the year, and I love Sabrina Carpenter. I love Girl in Red. I'm so stoked for this. They teased it on TikTok and it sounds so good. I love the way that Girl in Red, Marie. I always forget her name. I believe it's Marie. That she introduced it. She's like, it would be sick if we had Sabrina on this track. And then Sabrina answered, starts singing. So good. I love when artists just have fun with like talking points in their songs. It just, I don't know, it's like a fun little, it almost like breaks the fourth wall in a sense, if that makes sense. But so stoked for that release. We will 100% be chatting about that next week. And that kind of wraps up our new releases. Next week, though, we are in the final week of the Beyoncé album. We are so close. We have more to talk about that later, but I just can't wait. I'm so excited. But that being said, out of our releases and just some more music news, we finally have a Dua Lipa album title, and it is called Radical Optimism. She released the album cover, she released the track list. It is 11 songs. Her team did accidentally leak the lyrics to the album as well, but it wouldn't be a Dua Lipa release without, you know, a little mess up. But that's okay. That's fine. We're still gonna stream it. There's been a lot of discourse online about the length of the album. People are saying it was only gonna be 30 minutes long. It hasn't been confirmed anywhere the length of the album, so I don't really know why people are jumping to conclusions, maybe because it's only 11 tracks, but 11 songs can still be, if they're almost 4 minutes each, that's a 45-minute album. Is that the right math? Yeah. I'm sure they won't be 45 minutes long, like, you know, won't be a full in that sense. But like I said, an album does not need to be an hour long to be a good album. Like, if this album is just straight bangers, which when does Dua Lipa not release a banger? Like, why are we doubting her? She can take 11 tracks and make it fantastic. So I have no doubt the fact that this album is going to be a smash. I will say I'm a little confused by the cover. It is definitely not the vibe that I was getting from Houdini in Training Season. It was definitely kind of threw me. So I'm excited to kind of see like how they fit into the album with this aesthetic. I don't know. I'm curious to see how they fit, but I'm not doubting Miss Dua because she's never let me down. I know that she won't start now. And like I said, some Beyonce news. She finally announced or released rather the cover of the album for Cowboy Carter coming out next Friday. Holy shit, I'm so excited. But she finally announced or released, I keep saying announced, finally released the cover, and I'm obsessed. It is so cool to be seeing the parallels already between Act 1 Renaissance and Act 2 Cowboy Carter. I did a whole carousel about the parallels that we have so far from the albums on my Instagram, so go check that out if you haven't yet. It's at 2pop to handle. But right off the bat, the covers. I mean, on Renaissance, she's sitting on the silver horse, the disco. On this one, she's sitting on a regular horse, a real horse. And it's obviously a country album. We did learn that the horse's name is Chardonnay, and if you know Renaissance, the horse's name was Renee. So we have Renee, Chardonnay, and I'm sure Act 3 will be another horse with some tie-in to Nay there. So super fun. And they're just, it's so cool to already see these parallels before the album is coming out. There's the billboard that we talked about, the two visuals, the vinyl inserts for Renaissance was like half of Beyonce's face. The four vinyl variants that she released are half of her face. So that is a tie-in. And then the center label of each of the vinyls is a element from the I'm That Girl teaser that she dropped. So definitely showing that like this is one universe. They are somehow all going to tie in. And she released a statement saying that this is not a country album. This is a Beyonce album, and it is a continuation of Renaissance. I cannot wait. I am so excited. I am like, I'm bursting at the seams. I cannot believe we're getting a new Beyonce album in 10 days. Also, a fun little tidbit that I just found out literally like half an hour ago. Ariana Grande and Beyonce both have the exact same Billboard Hot 100 chart. So they both have 9 number 1s, 22 top 10s, and 85 tracks to ever be in the top 100. So the exact same numbers, which is pretty crazy. It's also funny. Ariana is Thomas's favorite, Beyonce is my favorite. So it's like a gay match made in heaven when you really boil it down. But very cool to see that. I'm just so excited for this Beyonce album. I can't wait. I might have to do a whole episode just talking about the album. We'll see, but like it might be one of those. I also think I might do a full episode just breaking down Tortured Poet Departments. If that's something you guys would be interested in, let me know. Shoot me a DM. Tell me somewhere if you would like a full episode of that, or if you would like it just in the regular weekly episode. It would be a bonus episode if anything, so you would have two that week. But I really think it would be so much fun to have Delaney on to just kind of go track by track of the album and talk it out. And I know that if I include that in a full episode, it'll be 2 hours long. So I think it would make more sense to break it. So let me know what you're thinking. I'm kind of leaning towards doing that anyway, but we can, let's chat offline. Send me a DM, tweet me something, let's chat. But I think that would be fun. But I think I might have to do the same thing for Beyonce because I'm already like the way I'm dissecting the parallels between these albums, I just know I'm gonna have a lot to say. So that might be a series I start. So TBD there. And in some other music news, this is just funny. If you've been listening literally since episode 1, you guys know I am Justin Timberlake's biggest hater. And he had a show last week, and obviously his album came out, whatever. I didn't listen to it. Couldn't tell you anything about it. But he decided to finally bring NSYNC out for a reunion at his show. And it's just funny to me that he finally brings them out for a reunion after all of these years when he's flopping and when he needs the bigger press, and it didn't even make that big of headlines. Maybe I'm just not in that market to see it. It was definitely on TikTok for like 3 hours. It was definitely on like Instagram, whatever, but kind of fizzled out. Where if this was 10 years ago, people would have been talking about this as if as if Jesus Christ came back from the dead again himself. Like this would have been the biggest news in the world, but he just kind of has shot himself in the foot so many times in the past few years that I just feel like it's like, okay. Like he's not even, to me, he is not even the biggest member of the band. Like he's just so, ugh, you guys know how I feel. And if you don't know how I feel, go listen to my first episode ever. He was my mess. God, that was October. Yeah, go listen to that episode. I'm trying to think of what the title of it was. Oh, Full Send on Tavis. My very first episode ever, I talked about why I don't like Justin Timberlake, and he's kind of come out a lot. And I'm gonna cut the conversation there because I don't want to give him any more airtime on my platform. But I couldn't let that slide by. Like I needed to chat about it. Moving on to some people that I absolutely love. Lindsay Lohan. I can't go an episode. I can't go an episode without talking about her. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry, but she is on the cover of Bustle magazine and she looks good. Oh my God, she looks so gorgeous. I loved the shoot. So many fun outfits, so many fun styles. She was definitely giving Angie K with those giant glasses, and I was loving it. She had like that black sequin number, the green number, everything about it. I just loved it. If Lindsay Lohan is selling, I'm buying. But the main takeaway from this interview for me was the fact that they did an interview of Lindsay interviewing herself. So very Parent Trap, very Annie and Hallie, and just like such a fun idea for them to do. Whoever came up with that, I don't know if it's a thing that Bustle does. I don't think so. I feel like how Vogue does 73 questions. I don't know if this is like their thing or if they did it intentionally because it was Lindsay. I loved it regardless. Whoever creative directed that, genius, so smart. And the takeaway from the interview for me was that Lindsay asked Lindsay if she would ever go back to music. And she said, I would only go back to music if it was for a character. Now, we all know Freaky Friday 2 is happening. And in Freaky Friday, obviously, Pink Slip, Anna's band, was a huge part of the entire storyline. So I am now thinking that Pink Slip is going to be back in the movie. I feel like it has to be part of it, and somehow it was such a big part of the movie. I mean, think about when Tess literally is up on stage at the House of Blues and performing, and Lindsay or Anna is backstage, like that's such a moment in the movie. The song at the end in the wedding, it's like I love that song. It's just like they had so many hits and so much, it was such a big part of the movie that I can't imagine Freaky Friday 2 without Pink Slip. So I'm imagining that that was almost maybe her giving us a nod to the fact that Pink Slip will be back. The script is done. They're going into production soon, so like she would know if they're in the movie. So I am just like crossing my fingers, crossing my toes that Pink Slip is in Freaky Friday 2, and I'm saying it right now. If they do another show like they do in the first one and I am not in attendance with Jocelyn, I will raise hell. I'm telling I will we will fly to LA. And it's a package deal with the two of us. Like we both have to be there. We will raise hell. So anyone at Disney Plus, if you're listening, or Disney, whoever's producing this movie, make sure. Just let me know. I will hop on a plane. I have no problem hopping on a plane. I will happily fly to LA for this. But just keep me in the loop because if I find out, it's gonna be it'll be everybody's problem, and we don't want that, you know what I mean? So let's just, put that out there now. But that being said, moving on to some TV news and some podcasting news, actually. The Kardashians are coming back. So they will be back May 23rd on Hulu. If you were listening, like the latter half of last year, I want to say, I recapped the episodes here and there, and I would just talk about what was going on with them. I don't For lack of a better words, I don't keep up with them in a sense where like I'm on top of every single thing that they do, but I do really enjoy their show. I follow them all on social, and who am I kidding? It's the Kardashians. Like I'm a pop culture connoisseur. Like I am obviously all over them. They're not like my favorite people ever. Like I don't keep up with like Kim's lifers. Like I don't know like all of them. Like I don't know the nitty-gritty of the Kardashians, but I do enjoy watching their show. I do enjoy keeping up with them, and it's just like they are pop culture, so like I have to, you know what I mean? But they are back on Hulu May 23rd. Cannot wait. I love what they've done with the show now that they're on Hulu. I think it is so good. I look at I mean, I loved the E show and I thought that it was great while it was, but then by the end you could just tell it was getting to a point where like they were outgrowing it. It wasn't really what they wanted creatively and like they are like America's family. You know what I mean? Like they are such a big part of culture that like we needed it to be a little more hands-on. So the Hulu show is so good. I love it. I understand people don't like them. I get that. I'm not telling you to like them, but I'm just excited for the show to be back. But in other Kardashian news, something that is a little more jarring to me. Caitlyn and Lamar are starting a podcast together called Keeping Up with Sports. So first of all, obviously it's like a nod to Keeping Up with the Kardashians. And I'm just like, I want to see the email thread that went back and forth between them and their teams or whatever it was, whoever put this together, that was like, let's do this. Because before I get into it, obviously they are both huge pillars just in like sports history. Caitlyn was an Olympian. Lamar was a basketball player. Like they both obviously paid their dues. They know what they're talking about. I'm not discrediting them there. I just don't see a world where like sport fans are tuning into a podcast hosted by Caitlyn Jenner and Lamar Odom to get their sport info. You know what I mean? Like there's so, like ESPN exists. There's so many other places for them, and I don't see Kardashian fans tuning into this. Like they though they are a part of our Kardashian world, I don't see them like attracting Kardashian fans. I honestly want nothing to do with Caitlyn Jenner. Like I just think she is just like not she's just not a good person. Like there's just no ifs, ands, or buts, point blank, period. She is just like trash. And like obviously there's a whole LGBTQIA part of it, but that aside, I just am not a fan. But I just don't, I'm very curious who the target demo for this is because I don't see it hitting the way that they want to. And I'm very curious how long it's gonna go. Like I'm not wishing them a failed podcast, but I give it 90 days. I give it 3 months and then I think the podcast is kaput because like I just don't see it hitting the way that I think they're going to. And if it does, I will eat my words. I will take it all back and I will fully, get around to the fact that like I was wrong. That's fine. I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. But hit me up in 3 months and let's see when it comes out. I think it premieres in like a week or two. Um, I guess we'll see. I don't know. But that being said, excited about the Kardashians coming back, not excited about Caitlyn and Lamar's podcast. And in some more TV news, we're going into just a TV segment now. The Real Housewives of New York cast has been rumored, and apparently they're going into production. I was recapping the show last year when it was on. I really liked it, and I will be recapping it again this year when it comes out, so stay tuned for that. But apparently all six of the girls are back. So Erin, Jenna, Sai, Uba, Bryn, and who am I forgetting? Jessel. Oh my God, duh, Jessel. So apparently all six of them are back. For a while, it was rumored that Jenna wasn't coming back and Sai wasn't coming back, but rumors are swirling that all six of them are back. And allegedly, there's two original housewives joining the cast as well. Unsure who. A lot of people are saying are Sonia and Luann. I am very curious to see if they add anyone. I feel like it might be a friend of situation, and they'll be like on the show periodically from time to time, and then kind of work them in. But I was shocked to hear that all six of them are coming back. That was not something that was on my radar, especially for Jenna. I was talking about this during the finale and the reunion. If you listen to that episode, I was saying like Jenna just, I don't know, I feel like she just doesn't want to be a housewife. Like I think it just kind of like fell into her lap and she did it. She was my favorite on the show. I don't know if that's unpopular or not. Absolutely loved Jenna on the show. So I'm thrilled to have her back, but I'm surprised genuinely because she did press too where she was like not thrilled about coming back. But I also feel like that's kind of just her. Like she doesn't show excitement, like this is kind of her vibe. If you watch the show or know Jenna Lyons at all, like she is very just like present and there and like doesn't know how to kind of express things all the time, and that's not a drag at all. Like it's just from what I can watch. But she was my favorite on the show. I absolutely loved her, and we've DM'd a few times back and forth, and she's so sweet, just always like so kind whenever we DM. So definitely excited to have her back if it's true. Allegedly, they're going into production the end of this month. So really, that's what's today, the 19th. So by like next week, I think we should have more like confirmation because we'll start to see the girls filming together. But very excited for new RHONY. I loved it. I thought it was a good season. I know I'm not like the biggest Bravo person. I don't watch everything. Like I don't watch all the franchises. I've talked about my Bravo history here, but I did love this. And just I think living in New York, it gives you like that extra edge to watch it because I'm like, oh, I walk past that every week, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of gives you that more fun, like, I could be there situation kind of thing. So, very excited for new RHONY. And then the docuseries on everybody's lips right now, Quiet on Set. So, not to kind of, pivot into something a little sad. Promise we're not ending on a sad note, but we've got to talk about it. So, if you don't know what I'm talking about, this past Sunday, so St. Patrick's Day, the 17th, a docuseries on HBO Max premiered called Quiet on Set. It is a four-part docuseries, pretty much just exposing like the dark secrets behind Nickelodeon, Dan Schneider, all of the writers and the producers on all of those shows that we loved, all that, The Amanda Show, Drake and Josh, all of those like old, like honestly just like staples in my childhood. I don't know about all of you guys, but I can just imagine that like we were all obsessed with all of those shows growing up, right? Like I would watch all that, The Amanda Show, Drake and Josh, like it was my job. My aunt used to come, she lived in the city, and I remember like anytime she would come to our house, she'd be like, oh my God, can we watch The Amanda Show? Like it was a big thing in our house. So it was all that. All of those shows like Double Dare, Drake and Josh, like I said, even like iCarly, like I loved all those shows, but this really just hones in on um all that, Amanda Show and Drake and Josh from what I've seen. I haven't watched the full thing. I've only actually seen like bits and pieces of it, but what I have gathered from what I've seen, holy shit. So essentially, I'm just gonna run through what I know, and I don't want to spoil it for many people because it did literally just finish premiering last night. And like I said, I haven't even watched all of it, so I don't want to get false information. But what I do know, holy shit. So we all know that Dan Schneider, who is a creator and producer on a lot of our favorite Nickelodeon shows, he did all that. He did The Amanda Show. He was on iCarly, Victorious. Like, he was like the name in Nickelodeon. We all know that he's gross. Like, there's been a lot of tell-alls. If you haven't read Jeanette McCurdy's book, I'm Glad My Mom Died, you need to read it. I was glued to, I mean, I listened to it, which I would suggest listening to the audiobook for this because Jeanette reads it, and it is as bad as this sounds, like it is just so much more heartbreaking hearing her read these stories because her story is so incredibly sad, but the book was fantastic and she kind of like dipped into this a little bit, and it kind of makes me wonder if like her book was kind of like, it kind of like set this conversation off more because she was one of the only people who really didn't take the hush money from him. There were essentially NDAs and people saying like, he was like, hey, like if you don't talk about the things that happened, like I'll pay you XYZ. And she wouldn't do it. And she kind of like spilled in her book, which was fantastic. But now this docuseries is coming out and they're exposing everyone. So first and foremost, Dan Schneider is going to hell. The way that he treated his women writers on the Amanda Show was so gross. He essentially made them like split a salary, and they were like the only women on the team. He was just like treating them so, you could tell he was treating them, I hate to say this, but like they were women. He was treating them lesser and treating them just like, oh, they're like, he just wanted two girls on the team, so he hired them. Making them split a salary first and foremost, who the fuck do you think you are? Like, so just like, ugh, it just makes me, I mean, I don't, you guys know, I'm not obviously, I'm gonna be the first one to help talk about like women's rights or whatever. Like, I'm very girl power, but like, it's just crazy to hear that these things were really happening. And we know that they happen, but once you put a face to the name and like you start to hear these stories from the mouth themselves, it just makes it so much more like, ugh, it's so gross. So that was one whole thing. They did end up suing him, and it obviously didn't end his career or anything. So then we find out the whole Amanda Bynes of it all. So just like Amanda Bynes as a whole really just like breaks my heart because again, like we did all grow up with her, and from such a young age, she was such a talent. Like she was hilarious. Her comedic timing was perfect. She was like such a cute little girl too. She like the brown hair, like her like she just had like that look. And then as she got older, she was like gorgeous. Like she was an it girl, genuinely. Like she was like her, Lindsay, Hillary, that whole group. Like they were all, not that they hung out all together, but like they were like the up and coming it girls, like 2003. And I mean, she was in Hairspray. She was like, She's the Man, What a Girl Wants, Big Fat Liar, like so many. She was in a lot of movies. She really had such like a booming career. And it is just like so sad to see her now. And it hasn't just been now. Obviously, it's been years of her going through a lot. And this really has been like shining a light on like a lot of why she is the way she is, what I can imagine. Like she was over sexualized by this grown man. She was obviously like thrown into the public light at such a young age. She wanted to be. I know she started as like a stand-up comedian at like 10 years old, so she was looking to be in that space. So I don't think the fame was really the issue with her because she was almost seeking it, you know what I mean? But I do think that just the environment she was in and knowing the people that she was surrounded by made it made her just like go off of her rocker almost. You know what I mean? Like that will fuck you up as a child and just like it's things that I feel like you won't come to fruition about until you're older and then it really hits you. And I saw a tweet that said the reason people think Amanda Bynes kind of like made herself look the way she does now, not to be rude or comment somebody's appearance, but she doesn't look great, you know? Like she's definitely gotten like work done. Her hair always looks crazy. Her eyebrows are huge. Like she has the tattoos on her face. And like it's so heartbreaking. But people said they were like she was over sexualized from like 10 years old until whenever her career kind of was like unraveling. And I think now she just like doesn't want to look pretty. She doesn't want to look a certain way because for so long when she looked picture perfect and like the girl next door, like that's when people treated her like an object and it's just so heartbreaking. It's just like it's so sad. So that just like broke my heart, and I'm very excited. Ugh, that's such a I hate to say excited, but I'm excited to kind of dive into the docuseries more and learn more about it and just kind of really get like a grasp on what the fuck went down. I did read some things about like the all that cast and like the costuming, and there was obviously now looking back and watching it and like thinking about the jokes they made, they were obviously so far beyond inappropriate. Like the one clip that I saw that was going viral was the guy who was like Big Nose Man or something. I can't remember who he played, but he essentially like he had a giant nose and like noses on his like sleeves that looked like dicks. And then his superpower was like he would sneeze and goo would go all over whoever was in front of him, which is like in the clip it's like it's a cum shot joke. Like it's literally a teenager making a cum shot joke, and it was so constant with Dan Schneider shows. Like I know like Zoe 101 it would happen, Victorious it would happen. Then there was that clip of Ariana going around with the potato. Like there's just so many things coming out that are so ugh. And the most recent thing that I've seen, which is like the real big one, is the Drake Bell of it all. So if you didn't know, the Drake Bell does have kind of a sticky past. I believe he was put on probation for like 2 to 3 years a few years ago for like inappropriate conversations with an underage girl online. So that's a whole story of its own. Like we're not getting into that, and I am not discrediting it. So I wanted to like put the disclaimer out now. But what I could gather from my research, what I was reading about the Quiet on Set documentary, is that one of the writers or producers of Drake and Josh, or yeah, Drake and Josh, and of The Amanda Show, was just getting like a little too friendly with him. And at the time, the producer ended up getting arrested for having like sexual relations with one of the cast members, and nobody knew who or why, like what it was until this documentary, and it was Drake Bell. So what like I hate to even like give a reasoning, but you have to imagine like having a past like that and being subjected to things like that as a kid when you're trying to like live your dream. Like I saw a clip that he was saying he was like, all I wanted was to be on TV and I finally got it, but like at what cost? Like it's just so heartbreaking and so sad. And I'm very excited to kind of dive in deeper and really like absorb all of it. I kind of was just going like TLDR on all the topics, but oh my God, so heartbreaking. I also saw the Nancy Classified cast like almost making jokes about it. They were on a show. They were obviously on Ned's Declassified, but it was a different producer. I forget his name. I can't think of who it was, but there was like never any issues with him. Like he was good. Like he didn't have any sexual assault allegations, nothing like that. So they kind of like got away from Nickelodeon without any of that. And I think his name's Devin, the guy who played Ned, was on TikTok live this morning or yesterday, and he was like laughing about the documentary and like saying he was like, I shouldn't be laughing. I'm just saying like this never happened to us. Like just come like go film your stupid fucking rewatch podcast. Go just like my God, I can't like I and I'm doing a lot of callbacks to old episodes today, but I have an episode called Nickelodeon Hookups and Adele is Married, something like that. And I talk about kind of like their podcast and my feelings there. So if you're a new listener or you just want to refresh, you can go listen to that episode. But I just like that was so gross to me. And the fact that like you guys were on the same network, you guys ran in the same circles. Maybe you had a better experience on Nickelodeon and you should be grateful for that. But to go on TikTok live and laugh about this and like I don't know, just like rubbed me the wrong way, but definitely going to dive more into this docuseries and just kind of like absorb all of it because it sounds so bad, but like I'm very interested in like what the fuck went down. And everyone's like, it's gonna ruin your childhood. And what I have read, childhood ruined. It is so sad, so heartbreaking. So I needed to touch on that and just like kind of get all that out because it seems that Nickelodeon was not all that in the 90s. And it's so heartbreaking because it was such a cornerstone of our childhoods growing up. Like, my brother and I loved Nickelodeon growing up. I definitely ended up leaning more towards Disney Channel as I got older, but I always still would watch like iCarly, Victorious, like Soy 101, fuck Jamie Lynn Spears. But at the time, it is what it is. But I don't know, just so sad. Lots to digest there, just like very heavy. But moving on to something a little more lighthearted, it's a new day in the workroom. You're recapping Drag Race as we do every single week. So starts off with a mini challenge where the girls have to kind of read each other the spill the tea challenge. I think this is such a fun challenge. If you don't watch or didn't watch this episode, they have paddles with everybody's face on it. Rue asks a question. Who's the shadiest? Who's most delusional? And all the queens have to vote. Whoever has the majority vote, whoever voted for that queen wins X amount of money. That's kind of the gist. Just like a fun challenge, just like funny. They, at this point they know each other so well, so they're really like their opinions are their opinions. So it's fun to kind of see those relationships. But then they are put into groups and they essentially have to do a presentation. So the groups are Plain Jane and Q, Dawn and Maya, and then Saphira, Nymphia, and Morphine. So they're all put into groups together by Rue, so they don't get to pick this time, which I always think is interesting. And I always wonder if like how they pick the teams. They are pretty much just like sectioned together by like who they're standing next to. But I imagine on the scene, like the parts that we don't see, like the producer is telling them where to stand. So I always wonder if like the groups are premeditated and how that works. So they essentially have to get into these groups and do these presentations as if they're like lecturing people in a workplace. I thought it was a cute challenge. I thought it was funny. These are the episodes where I'm like, all right, they're just like trying to extend the season and like give us something. The guest judge was Joel Kim Booster, and he even said he was like, you will never have to do this again. So if you bombed it, and a lot of them did bomb it, you'll never have to do this again. So like no worries there. So they do the challenges. Honestly, not much to say about the challenges. It was what it was. It wasn't anything groundbreaking, but it turns out that Saphira wins and Cube was pissed. And I can see why she was mad because I will say Plain Jane and Q definitely performed better than Saphira, Nymphia, and Morphine. But the way that Q acted on that runway after Saphira won, I was like, girl, come on, Puss in Boots. Like, cheer up, like, get over yourself. I will say it was very vulnerable of her to come out and talk about her HIV status. That's got to be such a like a hurdle to jump over. She told Plain in the workroom just that, she is HIV positive for the past 2 years. And she did a whole runway tribute to, the AIDS awareness in the 80s and the whole thing. It was touching. It was beautiful. Like, I'm not discrediting that, but I do think that like I think she thought that her giving that storyline on the episode was like securing her a win. And not to say that she didn't deserve a win or anything like that, or that maybe that wasn't her thought, but it's just kind of how the edit was. So maybe I'm blaming it on the edit. Who knows? The way that she acted when Saphira won was so off-putting to me. It genuinely, I was like, I don't even want you in the top four anymore. It's just like like at this point in the competition, we're at the top six. You have to just like be there for your girls. You can't be Puss in Boots. Like, that's not going to get you to the top. That is not the way America's Next Drag Superstar X get it together. She was literally so mopey at the back of the stage. I couldn't. I was like, girl, what are you doing? It just like such a turn off. But that being said, Maya and Morphine lip sync together. Now, Maya has been in the bottom 4 times now. So I'm like, girl, it's your time to go. Her and Morphine lip sync. And I could not believe the way that Maya threw that cape over Morphine on this episode. That was so shady and just so like trying to pull one over on her. Which girl, like you're the queen of flips, you're the lip sync assassin. Why are you trying to pull out these stops to trip her up? But Miss Morphine swooped that thing right off of her. When she grabbed it and like spun it over her, I was like, oh, bitch, you just wanted to lip sync. That was the moment I was like, yep, she's gonna win. And thank God I have grown to love Morphine so much. I've loved her since before the show. I said it last week. I followed her for a while, but she definitely wasn't my front runner. I mean, no offense, she's still not my front runner of this season, but she has made her way into my top four. That sounded so shady. So on the off chance that Morphine ever hears this, sorry, Diva, I love you, but it's just I'm Team Nymphia. That is my girl. I love her, but I am definitely now shifting my top four to Nymphia, Saphira, Morphine, and Q. But Q is hanging on by a thread. Like Q is at the end of the alphabet and she is getting to XYZ. Like I just it's the way that she is acting. It's just like turning me off. And I don't know. I just don't like a sore loser. And she just gave that energy so hard this week. It just was such a turn off. But Maya does go home, so we are back on track on sending people home, and we are at the top six, which is so crazy because we are assuming there's a top four. We're what, 3 episodes away from the finale, 4 episodes away? Going very fast. I feel like this season flew by, but it is such a good season. So I am still enjoying it. I'm still loving it. I am just like, holy shit, like we're getting to the end. And now that like looking up there and just seeing 3 and 3 at the on the back of the stage, I was like, where'd all the girls go? Like, what do you mean they all went home? So that was Drag Race for the week, and that brings us to the end of the episode. But you guys know the drill. If you're new here, though, we do end every single episode with my yes and my mess of the week. My yes being something I'm loving, my mess being something I'm not loving. And spoiler alert, my yes and mess are related this week, but they are two different things, and they are things that we did not talk about in the episode. I know last week I kind of cheated, and my yes was Eternal Sunshine, and I that was also in this heavy in the episode. So this week it is not anything we talked about, but it is still Ariana Grande related. So my yes of the week is Bowen Yang on his podcast Las Culturitas that he hosts every single week with Matt Rogers. Last week he released an episode and they were talking about the album. Now Bowen and Ariana are very good friends. They're in Wicked together. They were just on SNL together. They're very good friends. And Bowen basically said he was like, the quote I have it right here. He said, "I will also just say the thing in We Can't Be Friends is that the narrative is wrong." And she's not even outwardly saying that, but the narrative has been incorrect and people have retracted things in these stories with no fucking apology to the people who are involved. I can tell you for a fact that what people out there seem to be clinging on to is incorrect. Now, I obviously am a huge Ariana Grande fan, so I've been riding for the bitch. But Bowen was literally on set with Ariana when whatever went down with her and Ethan's wife. So this is the first time we're really getting an inside look and an inside scoop about what happened and what went down. Does it tell us much? No, but he is very vocal on the fact that like what the public heard and like what went down. I'm assuming he's talking about when the wife had TMZ on speed dial and was like reporting every time Ariana Grande stepped out of her trailer and like looked in Ethan's general direction. Like that was wild of her. I understand like you just lost your husband, but like bitch, you literally have a baby to raise. Like I can't. But that I love that he spoke up about that. You know, I feel like no one's really has, and I don't know, maybe Ariana Grande told people not to, but I think that podcast itself is like it's essential. It's a pop culture podcast. If you don't listen, you should tune in. I love the podcast. It's hilarious. But that being said, I just think this was like such a nice thing for him to do. And obviously he did it in the discussion and he was like just like saying like, hey, this is not true what everyone's hearing. And he was heated, but like the fact that somebody spoke out who was on set while it happened, I'm like, all right, you know what? Let's drop these homewrecker stories finally once and for all and just like move on. The album went number one. We Can't Be Friends went number one. Like the general public is still eating the bitch up, so like clearly people aren't that mad about it. But that being said, my mess of the week is the fact that Ariana Grande has to pay her ex-husband $1.25 million to settle their divorce. In retrospect, $1 million to Ariana Grande is probably like $500 to me, to a normal, like $100 to me. Like it is not that big of money to her, which is crazy to think. Like I know she's a-okay without that money, but that is so much money. I will say, thank God she signed a prenup. If we think about Adele, who had to pay her husband like what was it, $80 million, $90 million, something like that. There was no prenup. Thank God Ariana had a prenup. She knew better. She was like, nope, we are signing a prenup. this is all you're getting. You are not getting everything from me. Like, absolutely not. But it just always like, ugh, like when I hate to see men get anything in a situation like this. You know what I mean? Like, why is he getting this money at all? Like, you cheated on her in the house that you guys lived in together, and you're getting a check? It just doesn't make sense to me. It is such ugh. And he just he grosses me out. Can't stand him. But Ariana, I mean, I know $1 million to her probably is not that much. It's like a drop in the bucket, but it's just the principle. It's just the like, it's just the principle behind it that hurts me. And I know she could give two shits. She probably just excited that she's done and she can now just like move on from it and like be good to go. But like, god damn, that sucks. That is so fucking annoying. But that is the end of our show. So thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Too Pop to Handle. If you liked what you heard, make sure you leave us a 5-star review, leave us a rating, tell me what you're thinking. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, leave us a comment, hit the bell. There's so many little things for YouTube. It's like a whole checklist in my head. And of course, if you're not following us on social, make sure you are. We are at Too Pop to Handle on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. I'm always posting. I'm always chatting. If you're interested in me and my life, you can follow me at Andrew Nucatola on all social platforms. That is TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I have a lot to say off the podcast. I'm always tweeting. I'm always posting on TikTok. Come follow along and have some fun. And until then, I'll catch you guys next week. Bye.